Philip Seymour Hoffman. I mean, the name just speaks for itself, right? When you think about the absolute greats, he's always in the conversation. But what made him so special wasn't just his incredible talent. It was something more, like a kind of magic, a sorcery, that let him connect with us in a way very few actors ever could. So let's get into it and try to understand what made his work so unforgettable.
You know, when Vox magazine wrote about him a year after he passed away, this is the question they opened with. And honestly, even now, all these years later, it still hits hard. There's this lingering sense of disbelief that someone so vital, so present in the world of movies, is just gone. It just doesn't feel real.
And that feeling, it leads to a much bigger question. It's not just about missing a great actor. It feels like a piece is missing from cinema itself. So why? What was that unique thing he brought to the screen that, let's be honest, no one has really been able to replicate since? That's what we're going to break down.
Okay, so the answer, according to the sources we're looking at, really comes down to one single powerful idea. It's not about his technique or his incredible range, though of course he had both in spades. It's about something deeper, a radical kind of empathy. This quote from Vox, man, this is everything. Infinite kindness. Think about that. It suggests his goal wasn't just to play a character, it was to find the core of their humanity, and by doing that, he somehow helped us find it in ourselves. So the big question is, what does that actually look like for an actor?
Well, it means he refused to judge them. It didn't matter if he was playing a hero, a villain, or someone totally lost in between. He approached them as a person. He basically specialized in giving a voice to the awkward, the broken, the people we might normally turn away from in real life, and he made us see them.
And the amazing thing is how he did this across so many wildly different roles. So let's look at 4 key types of characters he absolutely mastered. 4 kinds of voiceless people he gave a soul to. First up, there's the person who just does not fit in. You know the type. The one on the sidelines who is so deeply, painfully awkward that it's almost hard to watch. But with Hoffman, you just couldn't look away.
Oh man, Scotty J in Boogie Nights. In those way too tight clothes, trying desperately to tell Dirk Diggler he loves him, he's a walking disaster. But Hoffman doesn't play it for laughs. He plays the raw heartbreak, the total humiliation. And in that moment of absolute failure, he makes Scotty J completely, undeniably human. He becomes our idiot. We get it.
Now, this kindness also applied to a really different kind of character. The person in charge who's slowly realizing the world has just moved on without them. The authority figure who is staring into the abyss of their own irrelevance. As Art Howe, the old-school baseball manager in Moneyball, he just perfectly captures the quiet horror of being made obsolete. And it all comes down to his body language. That one simple move, stuffing his hands in his pockets, is his last stand. It's stubborn, it's petty, and it's so profoundly relatable. I mean, who hasn't felt that resistance to change?
And then you've got the characters who aren't just flawed, they are absolutely shattered. The ones dealing with a grief so huge that they're trying to literally erase themselves to escape it.
In Love, Liza, his character starts huffing gasoline to cope with his wife's suicide. It's such a tragic, self-destructive path. And yet, there's this incredible control Hoffman brings to the chaos. That one line, "I don't want a fucking letter," isn't just rage. It's the sound of a man who is terrified of what that final letter might say. It's just devastating. And finally, we get to maybe the purest expression of this on-screen kindness, a character whose main job in the story is simply to be there for someone else, to absorb their pain and just offer comfort.
And what's so brilliant here is it shows his skill wasn't just in acting, but in reacting. As the hospice nurse Phil Parma, he spends most of the movie just listening. When a telephone operator randomly mentions her mom had cancer, he doesn't just brush past it. He stops, and he connects with her pain. He reminds us that sometimes the kindest thing you can possibly do is just be present. So okay, that's the what. He showed this incredible kindness. But what about the how? What was the actual technique, the craft that made these incredibly emotional performances feel so unbelievably real?
Right. How did he manage to show these huge, sometimes over-the-top emotions without ever making it feel fake or like melodrama? What was his secret?
Well, it seems to come down to this incredible blend. See, where some actors might act an emotion, they show you they're sad. Hoffman just was sad. He embodied a person reacting to a situation. And that's what let him hit these massive emotional peaks like that scream in Love Liza, but keep it so grounded that it always felt completely believable.
And hey, we're not the only ones trying to put this genius into words. This Reddit user just hits the nail on the head. That phrase, over-the-top emotion with naturalism, is such a perfect way to describe something that I think we all felt but maybe didn't have the words for.
Exactly. It never feels like a performance. It feels like we're watching a real person going through something real. You can just tell that the emotion is bubbling up from some deep, authentic place inside of him. And that, right there, is the magic.
So when you put it all together, the kindness he had for his characters and the incredible craft he used to make it all feel so real, what are we left with? What's his ultimate legacy? This is the big takeaway right here. His body of work is so much more than just entertainment. It's a resource. Each performance is like a book in a library dedicated to understanding the human condition, a study in how we all cope and fail and love and somehow endure.
And that's the beautiful part. The work is still here. The sorcerer may be gone, but his spells, his films, they're all still here for us to learn from, to feel, and to experience. His kindness is permanent. And that brings us right back to that first quote. He could put you in touch with a kindness you didn't even know you had. So the last question is really for you. Which one of his characters did that for you? Which performance opened a door and made you see the world, or maybe even yourself, just a little bit differently?